Before audiences knew her as Kris Munroe, before Hollywood had even learned her name, Cheryl Ladd was simply a talented voice inside a recording studio, bringing life to a cartoon character that few imagined would leave any lasting impression. She voiced Melody in Josie and the Pussycats, the first meaningful opportunity of her career, and surprisingly, it all began with an animated band. Back in 1970, children watching Saturday morning cartoons could never have predicted that familiar voice would eventually belong to one of television's most recognizable stars. She arrived in Los Angeles as a young woman from South Dakota, full of ambition but almost completely unknown, carrying little more than a beautiful voice and an unwavering dedication to her craft. She performed in nightclubs, attended audition after audition, and accepted the small roles many actresses would rather erase from their resumes. There were no shortcuts and no magical overnight success, only years of determination while patiently waiting for the right opportunity to appear. In 1973, she married David Ladd, whose surname would remain with her throughout her career, even after their marriage came to an end. Cheryl Ladd became the name the public embraced, although the woman behind it had already spent years earning her place long before the world recognized it. When Charlie's Angels offered her a role in 1977, it wasn't simply fortune smiling on her. It was preparation finally meeting the perfect moment. She stepped into a position that could easily have ended her career before it truly took off, replacing a beloved star and facing an audience that never asked for anyone new. Instead of giving in to doubt, she transformed skepticism into admiration and turned an almost impossible challenge into a performance viewers welcomed week after week. Yet one important part of her story is often overlooked. Music remained just as important to her as acting. While Charlie's Angels was still at the peak of its popularity, she released her debut album because singing had never been a publicity stunt or a side hobby. It was the foundation of her career, and something she always knew she would return to. Away from the cameras, she lived in a way that rarely matched the expectations of gossip magazines. Rather than chasing scandals or inviting controversy, she focused on her work, raised her daughter, and selected roles that pushed her abilities instead of simply keeping her in the spotlight. She starred in television films exploring difficult subjects like addiction, grief, resilience, and personal struggle, proving her talent reached far beyond the character that made her famous. Perhaps that's the lasting lesson of Cheryl Ladd's journey. She never depended on dramatic headlines to define her success. Instead, she quietly built a career that endured across music, television, and film, supported by the same discipline she showed inside that recording booth so many years before. When you compare where she began with where she ultimately arrived, the journey is extraordinary, not because of one fortunate opportunity, but because of everything she accomplished long before anyone was paying attention. That is the story of Cheryl Ladd, a remarkable voice before she ever became a familiar face, and a career shaped one thoughtful decision at a time. If inspiring hidden stories like this are why you're here, be sure to subscribe and join us for more forgotten legends of the silver screen. We'll see you in the next one.